Hi everybody, and welcome to this tutorial where I am going to show you a way to draw in a pine tree. Now, trees can be very difficult to draw and a lot of people are struggling with them, so I've had some requests. And also this version is in complete real time to be found on my Patreon page. And for this study I'm using a very cheap scribbly pad paper, which is kind of like a newspaper kind of paper. And that is ideal for making a lot of sketches, as you see here on the left side, where I was trying to figure out the way the pine tree goes. Now, and a lot of you that are new in drawing, just beginners, would draw a pine tree like this, for instance, but when you would look up from above, so I'm looking straight down at the tree, then you would see that the branches will come out of that trunk all kinds of ways. So here on this flat drawing, if I was to draw in extra branches, and some branches going forward, some going backwards, then all of a sudden you get a great different feel of a 3D effect. And that is what I was doing here on the left side. And as you can see, partially you can see the tree trunk in between those branches. And that is what I was trying to say here. You have to think round. So a tree is rounded, and you also have to take notice of the light source. In this case it's coming from the left top. So the underneath of those branches will catch some shadow. And well, just let's start drawing with this in the back of our head. What I do is I draw from top to bottom, and what I'm using is all vertical lines, so I do not go sidewards for the setup of this pine tree. I'm simply thinking of branches that are going forward and backward. So they come round and round from that tree trunk down, as we were discussing just now with the setup. And I simply go downwards, and as I'm going downwards I also press a little bit harder on my pencil. But I do keep drawing very consequently those vertical lines. You can see it on the left side. Some parts are catching a lot of shadow, some parts are popping forward and catch some light. So I immediately try to keep notice of this, and it's also a nice detail to put way on the bottom of those of the tree trunk some bare branches. Now here is another thing I want to show you, and that's the difference between the top and the bottom. In the top I have pressed very lightly on my pencil, while in the bottom there will be much more contrast. Now this also helps your tree to become more 3D. Once you have drawn in all your vertical lines, it is also time to pop out some branches. And what I'm trying here is to show you that the branches come from always in all kinds of directions from that tree trunk down. The light source is coming from the left. So what I'm doing now is drawing in the shadows that are underneath those branches that are fully hanged with all those little pines. And this is the kind of tree that you can really look into, so it's not really packed with all kinds of branches. I wanted to keep it a little bit open for you to see very good. And by the way, for this one I'm using the Staedtler Luminars, but this technique will also apply to charcoal pencils or your pastel pencils. So just be consistent and keep drawing in those vertical lines. You can see here me putting extra shadow on the tree trunk itself. And you can see the difference between the top of my tree and the bottom part of my tree. This is so nice to do, and here and there I place in some tiny horizontal lines for the ends of those tree trenches, and to give your tree a place on the drawing paper, you can just add some shadow. Now for the shadow I'm using horizontal lines because that shadow is falling on the ground, and this also helps your tree to come alive and to be more three-dimensional. Now to demonstrate for you a little bit extra, I'm using a extra kind of pencils. These are pastel pencils, and I want to draw in a little bit of sky for you, and also to demonstrate that that sky partially is shown through those branches in the tree. Now this will also add to your tree coming more alive, and it's very nice to study too, just to watch what have I been drawing and where the sky partially shines through that tree. Now white can be applied too, because this very cheap scribbly paper is a bit yellowish, and the white can be applied so you can pop out the branches of the tree even more, and you can also draw in with a little bit of blue just to give you that feel of sky. You can draw out some clouds, for instance. Very nice to do too. And also this adds to make your tree pop out and to give you a good feel of where your tree stands. Well, it's just nice to do, ain't it? So that's a nice effect too. And what is also very nice is to take a 2H graphite pencil for drawing in trees that are way in the back. Just put it over the pastel, and I fade them out a little bit with my finger. Here on the left side I will draw some trees into. It's like a forest going on there way in the back. So that is also giving your tree extra 3D effect. And when you put a little bit of white around that shadow will pop out too. So very, very nice to do. And you can put in any color in the sky if you want. I've made it a little bit of a sunset now. Just play around with it. Well, I hope you enjoyed it and that you will draw a lot of trees. You will see that each and every one will be different, and well, it's a great study. Hope you enjoyed it and give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to check out my Patreon page, for there are many more tips there available for you. I will see you again next Friday, and I would say all the love. Take care.